Everything is going according to plan.
As I returned home to retrieve something I had forgotten, I heard my husband's voice coming from the living room.
If all goes well, she will head to the afterlife soon.
I could hear her saying that too. To think that I had been hated to the extent of being targeted for my life by them, despite living together all this time. Typically, one might confront my husband and mother-in-law right then and there. However, due to my profession, I deliberately chose not to. From that day on, I began to take action to expose their wrongdoing. My name is Ava Johnson. My husband, Martin, is 3 years older than me, and we got married 3 years ago. We met at a traffic safety workshop held at his company. At the time, I was working as a police officer in the traffic division. It was my first time participating in a traffic safety workshop, and I was extremely nervous because I wasn't good at speaking in public. But he was the one who assisted me during that time. His conversation helped ease my nerves, and we got along well from then on. However, despite being married for many years, we still don't have any children. I wanted children right after getting married, but Martin wasn't as enthusiastic.
Raising kids costs money, so maybe we should wait until we have a bit more savings.
He says that, but since we both work, there shouldn't be any financial concerns. Yet, whenever the topic of children comes up, he always dodges the conversation. I'm not the only one concerned about not having children. My mother-in-law Irene has also been worried about us not having children. At first, she seemed eager for grandchildren, but after 3 years, she started to wonder if it was me who was refusing to have children.
Ava, you're not getting any younger. You should start trying harder. If a woman doesn't have children, she's just like a maid.
I don't refuse to have children willingly. Whenever I relay what she says to Martin, he always gets grumpy.
What's your problem? Are you saying it's my fault? I'm busy with work and tired. If you want kids, try harder until I feel the same.
He always says that and then meticulously critiques my appearance. Furthermore, his preference is for flashy, trendy fashion more suited for younger women, not for someone like me who's almost 30. Plus, I can't dress too extravagantly because I never know when I might get called into work, but no matter how much I explain, he doesn't understand.
A wife who doesn't dress stylishly is unfit to be a woman. Instead of complaining to me, you should reflect on yourself.
It's surprising how my once kind husband could have such awful thoughts. I slightly regret getting married. About 2 years into our marriage, my department changed, and so did my work schedule. It became difficult to synchronize my days off with my husband's, and our time together as a couple decreased, causing our misunderstandings to grow. Feeling this wasn't right, I made an effort to synchronize our days off, but he began to casually make other plans. You're canceling again? We had plans to go to the movies together today, remember?
Sorry. I was suddenly invited by the girls from work to go fishing yesterday. I couldn't bring myself to put bait on the hook because I'm scared of fish, so I had to go, you know? My bad. But it's part of the job, you know?
Despite uttering words of regret, his expression was smug. Because of his impromptu outings, I found all the plans I had looked forward to were being cancelled one after another. Feeling upset, I wanted to at least spend a quiet day at home on my day off, but without fail, my mother-in-law would show up unannounced.
Oh, isn't Martin here?
He went fishing. He was asked by some girls.
Well, I suppose he'd rather hang out with other girls than be with you.
I didn't want to deal with her remarks without consideration for my feelings, but I also couldn't just leave her alone and go out. And so, my day off disappeared amidst such sarcastic comments.
You two don't seem capable of having children, huh? You should be more proactive. After all, you're the wife, right?
I'm doing my best, but it's because of money. He isn't enthusiastic about it.
Money? Then how much are you making right now?
Even though she was my mother-in-law, I hesitated to share private information. Nevertheless, I reluctantly disclosed a slightly lower amount than what I earned, and she responded with a surprised laugh.
Oh, it's surprisingly low when compared. Well, I guess that's what you get for being a public servant. For someone earning such low wages, it's surprising you're talking about wanting children.
I wonder what she was comparing it to. I wish she wouldn't compare public servants to wealthy individuals. However, her demeanor at that moment made me feel uneasy, as if it was just the prologue to a story about to unfold. From that day on, my mother-in-law started openly bullying me. She began to visit our house more frequently, sometimes even meeting me half of the week. On one occasion, when I returned from work, she had entered the house with her spare key, ostentatiously preparing dinner and waiting for me.
Oh, so even though you're a wife, you prioritize work over the household. Honestly, women without children have it easy.
Perhaps due to consuming these meals filled with sarcasm, I always ended up feeling unwell afterward. And then, at times when I slept until noon after a night shift, she would forcibly wake me up.
How long are you going to sleep? Sleeping until noon because of the job you chose makes you unfit as a wife. Honestly, if you keep this up, your husband might start looking for other women outside.
She would say that and then force me to eat breakfast. As a result, I gradually found it difficult to enjoy anything I ate, sometimes even feeling physically uncomfortable. This state continued for over a month, and due to stress and lack of sleep, I would rush to the bathroom immediately after eating at home. Instead of showing concern for my tired face, Martin would make annoyed expressions.
Seeing such a gloomy face at home would bring my mood down too. You're even slacking off on housework, leaving it all to mom, so at least be a bit more pleasant.
Your mom comes over and makes snide remarks only when she knows I'm busy and can't do the chores. You've noticed that, right? Even though I said that he just ignored me and kept watching TV. Despite not listening to me, he would laugh at the stupid stories of idols on TV, which made me explode with frustration. You haven't been looking me in the eye and talking properly lately. You've started canceling plans with me on your days off too. Are you cheating on me or something?
Cheating? What nonsense.
Suddenly, he raised his voice in response to my words.
I have work obligations. You have the nerve to say that without understanding my struggles. Maybe you're feeling that way because you're the one cheating, huh?
His face turned red as he unleashed his words in a forceful tone. Stunned by his intensity, I couldn't say anything in return. To make matters worse, he took his frustration out on the vase on the table, knocking it to the floor and causing broken shards to scatter at our feet. There was no need to go that far. It was the first time I felt genuinely scared of him. Since then, such incidents have occurred repeatedly, and just being together at home has become emotionally draining. One day, amid such ongoing days, I found myself having to leave home for a few days due to work commitments. On the day of my trip, I left the house but soon realized I had left my important planner behind. I hurried back home to retrieve it. However, a fight with him from the previous day, where he had said,
"You're going on a business trip without doing any housework,"
made things awkward, so I felt uncomfortable about facing him. Consequently, when I returned home, I quietly opened the door to avoid making any noise. There, I noticed my mother-in-law's shoes. Feeling even more hesitant about encountering them both, I gently picked up the planner from on top of the shoe cabinet and intended to leave quietly. Then, I overheard their conversation.
Got that thing too. So far so good as planned.
Looks like the wife's on her way out soon.
Yeah, but it's not showing much effect yet.
She's been rushing to the toilet after every meal, so isn't it about time?
The conversation was so sinister that I couldn't believe my ears. What? What do you mean? Quickly, I took out the voice recorder I always carry with me and immediately started recording. Unaware that they were being recorded, the two inside the room continued talking in a carefree manner, discussing outrageous plans in loud voices.
Maybe we should increase the amount of life insurance. Then we can also pay off Mom's debts, right?
That would be helpful. You won't have to see that ugly face every day anymore either.
I was taken aback. No matter how much they dislike me, I never imagined they were considering something like this. And to top it off, I heard a contemptuous laugh.
Even if she says she's from the police, she's just on traffic duty. She'll never figure it out.
As anger began to outweigh my sadness, I vowed to seek revenge against them. From then on, I continued pondering how to get back at my husband while on my business trip. Perhaps because I was wearing a gloomy expression, a colleague who was with me became concerned and, as I vented, unexpectedly provided me with some information. It turned out that a while ago, there was a report of a disturbance caused by a drunk person at a bar. When the police arrived, it was my husband causing the commotion. This colleague had attended my wedding, so they recognized my husband's face immediately.
My girlfriend's with me. I'll knock anyone out who lays a finger on her.
He embraced one of the female staff at the establishment, shouting and causing a scene, kicking tables, and acting recklessly in his drunken state. Moreover, it seemed more like he was actually in a relationship with her rather than just saying so in his drunkenness. So, he was cheating after all. Suddenly, everything about his behavior made sense. Instead of feeling shocked, I felt a surge of determination, especially to thoroughly investigate my husband's infidelity. Just watch, he won't get away with this. A week later, he approached me with a gentle tone reminiscent of when we first started dating. Expecting some ulterior motive, I tensed up, but he handed me a document.
Ava, you always work so hard in your dangerous job as a police officer. I'm proud of you as your husband, but I can't help but worry. What if something were to happen, or if someone held a grudge against you?
It was a life insurance application form. I was convinced that he was still planning to execute the scheme. Yet, one last time, I wanted to believe in him. Do you think so? Do you think someone might come after me? And if they did, would you worry about me? I looked straight into his eyes. Please reconsider, I pleaded. With a broad smile, he nodded.
Of course. So, please sign this form quickly.
Was he only seeing the insurance payout he would receive in exchange for my life? He may be a despicable man, but thanks to him, I felt empowered to exact my revenge without hesitation. Well, you never know who might be targeting someone's life in this world.
Yeah, that's right. There are plenty of dangerous incidents happening.
For instance, someone with foolish ideas in the family.
Oh, yeah.
Like wanting to get rid of their annoying wife to be with a young mistress. He began to get flustered, his eyes darting around nervously. Or being persuaded by a struggling mother in debt to take out a hefty insurance policy on the wife and send her off to the afterlife.
Hold on a sec. What on earth?
I played back the recording in front of him. There, my mother-in-law's conversation and crude laughter filled the room, and his expression contorted into an ugly grimace in no time.
Hey, what's this all about?
I happened to overhear it. Luckily, I had the voice recorder handy, right? I wouldn't carry it around if I stayed on traffic duty like before.
Wait, isn't Ava still on traffic duty?
I'm in the detective division now. I've told you that. Well, you probably weren't listening, considering you seemed to have your mind on some other woman back then. I slammed down the evidence photos of his affair that I found hidden in his room. These were all indisputable, found during my search of the house while he was out.
I don't know about these photos. I don't even know these women.
Oh, really? She's a stripper. Don't you remember? It was the club where you got drunk and caused a scene. You were shouting, "She's my girl," or something. Quite the show.
How much do you know?
Well, who knows? Haha. Cornered, he began desperately making excuses without concern for appearances.
It's my mom's fault. She heard about me dating the girl from the bar and started saying you should marry someone with a higher salary than you. She put me up to it.
Ah, it all made sense now. My mother-in-law must have compared my salary unfavorably to his affair partner. Based on what I heard from the recorded conversations, my mother-in-law had a considerable amount of debt. Planning to use my insurance money and the stripper's income to repay that debt was not only foolish but also despicable. So, it was your mother who came up with the plan?
Yeah. So, I'm not involved.
What are you talking about? First of all, it was your affair that started all this. Blaming others for it is just low. I won't forgive you for this. When I scolded him, he suddenly let out incomprehensible shouts and grabbed me by the collar. But I immediately grabbed his hand and threw him to the floor with force. I'm a detective. I'm used to dealing with rough people like you. I can protect myself even without life insurance. As he writhed in pain on the floor, I took out handcuffs. I'm arresting you.
Come on. You're kidding, right?
Seeing the handcuffs, he suddenly became weak and started apologizing.
I'm sorry. It was just a moment of madness. Please forgive me.
Save those excuses for the police station. I'll have plenty of time to listen to them then. Afterward, my husband and mother-in-law were sentenced to jail for conspiring to harm me. I divorced him and demanded $2 million in damages from both him and his mistress. Although it was attempted, I might be out in a while, but losing my job and having to pay damages, along with repaying my mother-in-law's debt, will undoubtedly make life difficult for them. On the other hand, at this age, I'm enjoying living alone again. I've been living a constrained life for so long, so I plan to spread my wings and enjoy some freedom for a while. How did you like this story? Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Well then, let's meet again in the next video. 23:50